In order to talk about the arithmetic of rational expressions, we begin by reviewing what we know about the arithmetic of fractions. We'll start by talking about multiplying and dividing fractions. Now, multiplying fractions works the way that we wish all fraction arithmetic worked. To multiply two fractions, we simply multiply the numerators, then multiply the denominators. So in this example, we're multiplying 3/8 times 10/9. That gives us a fraction whose numerator is 3 times 10 and whose denominator is 8 times 9. Well, that's going to work out to 30 over 72. But we were told to simplify our answer as much as possible. So we need to actually factor 30 and 72. Now 30, we got that by taking 3 times 10. So we can factor it as 3 times 10. 3 is prime. 10 factors as 2 times 5, with both of those prime. 72, we got that by taking 8 times 9. 8 factors as 4 times 2, with the 2 prime. 4 factors as 2 times 2. And then 9 factors as 3 times 3. And so we'll have, for our numerator, 2 times 3 times 5. In our denominator, we have 1, 2, 3 2's, and 1, 2 3's. So we'll cancel a pair of 2's, cancel a pair of 3's. In our numerator, we're left with a 5. In our denominator, 2 times 2 times 3. So 5 over 2 times 2 is 4, times 3 is 12. When we take 3/8 times 10/9, we get 5/12. Now, something to notice here. When we went to simplify, we had to factor our numerator and denominator. So we didn't actually need to multiply 3 times 10 and get 30, or multiply 8 times 9 and get 72. We could have done this whole thing without looking at the 30 or the 72. Just factor starting with the 3, the 10, the 8, and the 9. Now, of course, with numbers, actually doing that multiplication is very, very easy. When we're working with polynomials, however, doing the multiplication is more difficult. So we'll want to stay in that more factored form. Let's see an example of division. And this time, we're not going to do any unnecessary steps. So to divide two fractions, we rewrite as multiplication by the reciprocal of the divisor. So the first fraction stays the same. We change the operation to multiplication. We take the reciprocal of the second fraction. To divide 7/9 divided by 14/15, that's the same as multiplying 7/9 times, take the reciprocal of the second fraction, 15/14. So, of course, we'll multiply 7 times 15 over 9 times 14. But we're not going to find out what 7 times 15 or 9 times 14 actually are, because we know the next thing we want is to factor our numerator and denominator into primes. So we're going to factor 7, that's already prime. 15, that's 3 times 5. 9, that's 3 times 3. And then 14, that's 2 times 7. So our numerator was 7 times 15. That'll be a 7 times a 3 times 5. Our denominator was 9 times 14. So that'll be a 3 times 3 times 7 times 2. Canceling now, we'll cancel a pair of 7s. We'll cancel a pair of 3s. What's left is 5 over 3 times 2, or 5 over 6. Notice how we didn't have to actually find out what 7 times 15 or 9 times 14 were, because all we really cared about were their factors. Now, when we talk about multiplying and dividing fractions, we can include multiplying and dividing by integers simply by writing them with denominator 1. So we can take 5/6 times 9 by taking 5/6 times 9 over 1. That'll be 5 times 9 over 6, because multiplying by 1 doesn't do anything. 5 is prime. 9 is 3 times 3. 6 is 2 times 3. So 5 times 9, that's 5 times 3 times 3. 6 is 3 times 2. We'll cancel a pair of 3's, and we're left with 5 times 3 over 2, which is 15 over 2. Similarly, if we want to take 4/5 divided by 8, that's 4/5 divided by 8 over 1. That's 4/5 times 1/8. So 4 times 1 is just 4 over 5 times 8. We need to factor 4 is 2 times 2. 5 is just prime. 8 is 4 times 2. 4 is 2 times 2. So 8 has 3 factors of 2. In our numerator, we'll have 4 was 2 times 2. In our denominator, we have 5 times 3 copies of 2. Cancel common factors. Our numerator, we canceled everything, so we're just left with 1. Our denominator, we have 5 times 2, so this works out to 1/10. So that's all there is to multiplying and dividing by fractions. Multiplying, multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators, and then simplify. Dividing, rewrite as multiplication by the reciprocal, and then multiply. Multiplying and dividing fractions works out pretty easily.